Is dandadan the next Demon Slayer? And look, whether you like or hate Demon Slayer, it doesn't really matter, right? Because when it's time to talk about what anime had a huge impact here in the US when it comes to popularizing anime and manga, of course we have the Dragon Ball, of course we have the Naruto, but we definitely have to put Demon Slayer in that pedestal, because what Demon Slayer did to popularize anime outside of Japan is unspeakable. It broke every record you could ever think of. It's absolutely insane. And I'm asking, could dandadan do it again? Now, real quick, I want to jump over to Crunchyroll and just kind of show how dandadan is performing on the platform, right? As you can see on episode 1, it had 100k likes, and overall the series has 78,000 likes. Now, if we jump over to Demon Slayer, when we had the whole walk scene that lasted 20 episodes, this episode has 257 likes, which is absolutely insane. And if you actually look at the Hashira training arc, that season, on average, it gets about 90 to 95,000 likes per episode, which is absolutely insane. So you can kind of see that dandadan has a little way to go. Now, Demon Slayer, when it first started out with season 1, it wasn't getting 100k likes or anything like that. It was getting like 30 to 35. But then when it exploded in popularity with the movie and stuff like that, that's when Demon Slayer really just started going crazy with the likes and the amount of people that are watching it, right? And dandadan, for every episode after episode 1, the likes are going down to where by episode 6 is down to, like, I believe 50,000 likes or 40,000 likes, something like that. But from what I'm hearing, at least from the manga readers, is that the next episode, episode 7, is going to be absolutely insane. It's probably going to be one of those episodes that's going to put dandadan in the map. And that's really what I want to focus on, right? Because the same thing happened with Demon Slayer, right? Demon Slayer didn't start off super popular with episode 1. Like, episode 1 was popular, of course, but it wasn't until like episode, I believe, 18 or 19 where it really just blew up and the manga sales started going crazy everywhere. And in fact, let's actually take a look at the manga sales for the US for 2023, and we see that even though Demon Slayer ended like 2 or 3 years ago, Demon Slayer is still coming in top 5 in the US, which again just kind of shows how people are accepting Demon Slayer, how people are reading Demon Slayer here in the US. And other stuff like Chainsaw Man and stuff like that are still releasing volumes every couple of months here in the US, new volumes. Of course, they're gonna top the chart, but the fact that Demon Slayer is still selling when there's no new content is insane, and we have to take that into account. Now, we also hear the whole 1,000-year-old excuse of how Demon Slayer became so popular because of the animation, blah, blah, blah. Those are just excuses, right? Because again, whether you like or hate Demon Slayer is really irrelevant to the discussion that we're having here, because we're talking about how popular Demon Slayer is and if dandadan could actually reach that level. And honestly, if you really want to, say that the reason why Demon Slayer got to where it got is because of the animation, well, dandadan, the animation of dandadan is top notch, top tier from episode 1. Every single episode of dandadan has top tier animation. So at least that department is going to be covered. But what about the characters? What about the stuff that you really have to care about in order for an anime to succeed? And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like at least dandadan, when it comes to the character department with Okarun and Momo and their dynamics, I feel like it's way better than anything that Demon Slayer has given us. I'm not saying that Demon Slayer has bad characters, but I'm sure like a Demon Slayer hater would argue that it does. But again, I'm not here for that, right? I do like the characters in Demon Slayer, but I definitely do feel like at least in dandadan, just the way that Momo and Okarun act with each other, the way they interact with each other, their dynamic and the romance that they're building is honestly better than anything that Demon Slayer has to offer. But there's one thing that dandadan definitely has like a huge hurdle to get over, and that is the plot. I mean, it's absolutely insane. I can't believe that's the actual plot. And maybe in the future it's going to, change and the plot is going to be more serious. But the fact that the original plot of the anime is, that they're searching for Okarun's balls is absolutely insane. Like, I'm watching episode 6 and we're gonna get into spoilers obviously, and the fact that the pink hair girl has one of the balls and she's like touching it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a little insane, right? That plot is a little insane. But what's more crazy is the fact that there's still another one missing, right? So I'm guessing there's gonna be a whole other arc on getting the second one. So we got a little mix of the Dragon Balls with literal balls, and I think that's where maybe dandadan is gonna struggle, right? Getting a lot of people to invest in the plot, because at the very least, when it comes to Demon Slayer, I will say the plot of Tanjiro rescuing his sister and, you know, curing her demon thing is at least a little bit more catching to the casual viewer than a plot that's literally about searching for a dude's balls. It's insane, right? So I think that's the little hurdle that dandadan has to get over in order to really explode in popularity. But on top of that, I also want to focus on the fact that, you know, some manga readers are saying that the next episode is going to be one of those really emotional episodes that's probably going to hook a lot of people. And if, you know, the animation is top tier, if the story is going to be really emotional and it's really going to put a lot of these characters and have like an emotional attachment to them, I feel like that could be the episode that puts dandadan in the map. And I'm here for it. In fact, I'm actually going to start reacting to dandadan starting with episode 7. It's a little late into the season, but I was reacting to, you know, Uzumaki, and that was it. We don't talk about Uzumaki around here. But yeah, I'm gonna finish off this season with dandadan and see how it goes. But I really am curious to see how dandadan is gonna perform, especially when we get those heavy plot episodes, those really good episodes that can potentially put an anime on the map, just kind of how Demon Slayer did whenever, you know, Tanjiro's sister got her powers. And, you know, that episode is really the episode that exploded. A lot of big streamers were talking about it, a lot of famous people were talking about it, and that's what put Demon Slayer on the map here in the US to make Demon Slayer such an impactful anime in the US market. And honestly, when we're really talking about it, it kind of brings another point, because we're seeing that at least now we got some, you know, companies in Japan being censored because, you know, content that they are displaying in their website. We see MasterCard and Visa, they're not accepting payments for those websites. And I know Shibi Reviews made a video on this, and I'm not gonna, you know, really jump into it, but it's one of those things that kind of shows that now that anime and the industry is becoming so big, and the US market is actually like a market that Japan could take seriously, well, you can definitely see how some content that's acceptable over there might not be acceptable over here. I mean, dandadan, once again, is a perfect example, because we know episode 1 of dandadan with the fan service and what happened to Momo was absolutely insane, and it really shocked some people, right? Especially casual anime viewers that are not used to seeing this type of stuff happening in anime. They were just kind of shocked by it, and rightly so, right? Because what happened to Momo is absolutely bad, it's absolutely insane. And, you know, if you're not used to watching that content, which is kind of normalized in a lot of shonen anime and manga, well, that could be a shocker, and it could put you off, and, you know, you might drop the anime. And I made a video last week talking about dandadan numbers on Netflix, and I think it lost about 1 million viewers between episode 1 and episode 2, and it's been declining little by little, and that could be the reason, right? Because again, what happened in episode 1 is definitely like a huge shocker, and it could be a reason why people are dropping it. So I definitely do feel like dandadan definitely has the potential to become one of those top tier anime that popularizes anime even further here in the US. It just has a little, you know, a couple of roadblocks that it has to get through. So maybe once we get to like episode 10, maybe in season 2, that's when we'll really see dandadan blowing up and, you know, becoming the next Demon Slayer. But let me know if you think that dandadan has the potential to do this, or if I'm just kind of like daydreaming, because at the end of the day, my goal here is to really see anime just become so big in the US that, you know, Japan actually starts taking the US market very seriously, and we start seeing either more investment into the US market, where, you know, stuff like merchandise, you know, and all that stuff becomes either cheaper to get, because again, the merchandise and Blu-rays and action figures and all that stuff, they're really expensive. And the reason for that is because we're probably not getting like mass produced of all that stuff here in the US, because, you know, we're not that big, right? They could imagine if they make like 1 billion toys and nobody buys them, because the market just doesn't have the amount of people to sustain that level of production. But, you know, once we get there, I'm gonna be happy, because again, I love anime, right? But let me know what you think, and like always, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode. Peace out. Oh.